London these days is incredibly expensive. It costs a lot to live there. It's all been gentrified and redone. But when I lived there, it was not. It was still the East End of London. And I taught in a place called the Isle of Dogs, which was pretty much sounds as it was. It was incredibly downtrodden area. And I always think of this particular school because these kids, I don't think you would get any more underprivileged kids than what these kids were. And they had relief teachers there constantly. People just couldn't cope with them because they were pretty wild. People would come and teach them for a week, a day. The record was a male teacher who came in the morning and went out at lunchtime to get some sandwiches. Yeah, never came back.
Oh my God.
But I ended up staying at that school for a year. And the reason I stayed was that the principal was amazing and she really cared about those kids and that school. And I always think of that school in terms of if one person can make a difference. Well, this particular woman really did make a difference. Because I stayed, I started to have a relationship of trust with the parents. There is a bit of a theme here, and it has actually got something to do with what you're studying, which is building relationships and building trust. But because I stayed, I started to have a bit of a relationship with the parents, and so much so that they started to come into the classroom. And the truth is, half of those parents were indeed criminals. And one of the parents used to come into the class about once a month and give me stolen goods. So he'd drop off handbags, shoes, radios.
Oh my God.
Had to take it. Would have caused great problems if I didn't, but he'd always say the same thing. And I'll try and do a bit of an East End accent for you. He used to say to me, whenever he dropped off something, he'd say, "Here, Miss Watting, this is for you, like. But I wouldn't like flash it around for a couple of weeks if I was you." I took those memories of those kids and those parents with me when I came back to Australia. And when I came back, I was 28 and faced with the dilemma so many of us are so often throughout our lives, and some of you indeed might even still be thinking it right now. And that is, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? The good news is